Good evening. It's me on the telly. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the evening. This evening we have as a very special guest for the very first time on Musing with Musicians. I've no idea what I'm doing. I have not a clue. I've never interviewed anybody in my life. And I can hear Clive sniggering in the background. But we have for you tonight, for your delectation, please welcome Clive Barrett. Good evening, Clive.
Hello, Brad. Good evening.
Well, thanks for agreeing to indulge me in this strange business that we've got going tonight.
Well, I was persuaded by the very large fee. Yeah.
Fee. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's been lovely having you, and it's and it's good night from here.
Yeah. Good night.
Oh, I don't know what's happened. There you go. Oh, hello. Chris Mitchell's turned up. Good evening, Chris.
Oh, good. Hello, Chris. It's an intimate occasion.
Hey, can you see that, Clive?
I can, yeah.
There you see. And he also says, hi, Brad. And hi, Clive. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out where things... Oh, there we go. Just get rid of that now. Okay. So, if you want to make any comments about this evening, it's only going to be about an hour. You have a box there where Chris, who's Cliff? Chris put his comments in saying hi, Clive, and hi, Brad. And if you've got any questions for Clive, please put them in the comments and reaction sections. Is this a relation of yours, Clive?
Yeah, that's my adult.
You got an adult? What? Significant adult? Have you?
Yeah, she's my significant adult.
Oh,
she sort of looks
not
after me.
Not your carer.
My carer. Yeah. Yeah.
Jolly good. And who else is here? There's Jan.
Oh, that's my dear cousin Jan, who I've known nearly all of my life.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, Jan. Welcome, Jackie, and welcome, Jan. And this is Clive, in case you didn't know. And I'm just going to take you off there. There we go. Right, so let's get on with it and start talking about things. The whole idea of this is because I know lots of people that are musicians, and I kind of like to include myself along that, but not as illustrious as some of them. And some of those musicians I've been looking at over the last year, especially over the last year, on the internet, because there's so much to do. And oh, hang on, okay, I've got to do this. That's for you, Clive.
It's my daughter and my grandson.
Oh, lovely. There you go, sir.
Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Zachary. And good evening, Mr. Paul Manning as well. Hiya.
Hi, Paul.
Thanks for joining us.
Quite a crowd of us now. It must
There
be getting
is.
up to a handful.
Yeah. There's 9 people. Fantastic.
Oh,
and we haven't
my
even
God.
started yet. There we go. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes, I've known lots of musicians, lots of really, really good musicians, and now they're spread across the globe. And the internet is a good way to catch up with them. We have the vaults every Sunday where people sing. There's all sorts of acoustic things going on all over the place, and it's lovely. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to have a chat with some musicians. Well, I've never met Clive. I've only seen him on the internet. I've never met him, so but I've heard him play, and what a fine player he is too. And he plays many instruments. How many instruments do you play, Clive?
I'm none. I mess about with quite a few. Guitar, mandolin, fiddle, things with strings on, really. But I also have a completely irrational love for the Yulin pipes, and all sorts of bagpipes, and I wouldn't claim to play them, but I can get a tune out of them, and it makes me happy. But a sensible person would have nothing to do with them.
Well, hopefully we're going to. Oh, I've swapped spaces. What's going on there?
I've swapped sides.
Yeah, what happened there? Hopefully, I'm going to get a chance. So I love the Ilian pipes as well, and hopefully, we're going to get a chance to hear them. As long as you promise to stand back a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
So when did you actually first start playing an instrument?
I was 15. I saw Donovan on Ready Steady Go, and my cousin Jan, who's watching, used to see Donovan in St Albans Marketplace since he played there regularly, and the first thing that I remember him playing was San Francisco Bay Blues, and on the guitar he'd got written "This Machine Kills." And it was quite a few years later that I realised he'd borrowed a truncated version of that from Woody Guthrie, his famous "This Machine Kills Fascists."
Yeah.
But I was completely taken by the idea of learning to play the guitar, and I went to a youth club, and there were a handful of us who all wanted to play guitar, and we brought each other on. We each of us specialised in a sort of guitarist of the time. You know, we had our John Renbourn specialist and a Paul Simon specialist and Bert Jansch specialist and so on. And my two immediate loves were Dylan and Donovan. And of course, you weren't supposed to like both. You were supposed to like one or the other.
One or the other, yeah.
Yeah. Donovan was always referred to as the British Bob Dylan, but he was actually the Scottish Woody Guthrie.
I think because we're of a similar age, and
yeah,
I think I've got a year on you, haven't I? Because you're not 70 yet, are you?
Yeah, July.
Yeah, I'm 71 in June. I know. I can hear you say, but you don't look it, Brad, do you?
Don't look it.
I don't. You're right. I must have good genes. But so we're of a similar age, and I think Donovan was one of my first, certainly in the folk. My first folk who got me interested in folk was Paul Simon. The first the Paul Simon songbook, and I bought the songbook and I got the album. So I guess that was my first introduction to. I know Craig. I don't look. See, you've got to put these things up because Craig says you don't look it. And
hello, Craig.
But that's when I got my first acoustic guitar before then. But this is not about me. When someone interviews me, I'll tell you my story on that.
Well, it's interesting that we've followed sort of similar pathways.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
after you.
No, after you.
Well, I was going to say my musical awakening happened a little before that, when I was 12 or 13, and I heard my friend's very sophisticated 18-year-old cousin's lead belly box, and it was the most extraordinary thing I'd ever heard. Lead belly playing C.C. Ryder, playing slide guitar. I'd never heard anything like it. And that was a transformative experience, and it was a couple of years later that I started to play the guitar. Yeah, special love for lead belly.
Wow. So can you play San Francisco Bay Blues?
Oh, that's Jesse Fuller.
What was the other one? What was the Donovan one? What's the Donovan one?
Catch the Wind?
No. The blues, the Walking Blues one. What was that one we just talked about earlier?
Oh, that was San Francisco Bay Blues. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do that one?
I can, but I'm not going to do it now.
Sort of sprung that one. Can you do a similar sort of song?
I don't sing.
No, no. Okay, so
I could do Freight Train for you.
that'd be lovely. Played originally, of course, by a left-handed woman guitarist.
Yes, Elizabeth Cotton,
It was.
who was, and Libby was the Seegers' nurse, and she worked for them for several years, apparently, according to Becky Seeger, before the family realised that she played guitar.
Oh.
Quite an extraordinary story.
Sorry about that. Had to be done. That was lovely.
Thank you.
I still would struggle to play that. I did try, and I can do it after a fashion, but not like that. It was lovely. What guitar was that?
That's a guitar that was made for me by Terry Doherty. Terry's a luthier who lives in the northeast of the country. He's from Newcastle, and he had a career on the folk scene in that area. And Terry's just a little bit older than me, but unfortunately, I think he's had to give up making because he's got all sorts of problems with his leg. But he's a great maker, and he sent me pictures of the guitar as he was making it. And despite me seeing those pictures, it still seems like a black art to me. The way that you take pieces of wood and create what you've seen. So yes, the guitar, it's a Terry Doherty guitar, and it's based on a Dreadnought, a Martin Dreadnought, sort of shape and size and everything.
There's a lovely sound to it.
The one of the things which I think is special about it, from my point of view, is it's made with very old Brazilian rosewood, which is no longer legally available. It's only old wood is available, and thus it's rather expensive and rather sought after. And most guitars that use rosewood these days are made from Indian rosewood, which is quite nice but not as good. So I do have a Martin D28 that was made in 1979, and unfortunately that's made with Indian rosewood, because it would be worth a lot more if it was a Brazilian rosewood guitar. Anyway, getting nerdy, I must stop that stuff.
Well, that's. Can you hear? I don't know why I've got an echo. I seem to have an echo. Have I got an echo on my voice now?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, just sounded differently. You know, let me just take my headphones out. For some reason, it seems to be coming out of somewhere else.
All right. Okay.
How strange. Just bear with, because I've got to check it out. Nerdy is. It is indeed. Chris says, nerdy is fine.
Yeah.
He is.
Oh well, he probably understands people like me who sort of sniff guitars. There's nothing quite like the smell of a new guitar. Sort of put your nose to the sound hole.
There's a friend of mine in New York who's be on the hopefully on this show next week. Aaron has a little bit of marketing, a little merchandising thing. It's called a sound hole sniffer, and
Aha!
so he has he has a jug made of a jug. What am I talking about? He's got he's got a cup.
He's got a jug band, is it?
He's got a cup. See, I'm trying to speak and do things at the same
Yes.
time. Multitasking is not a thing for me. I mean, people say, "Can you multitask?" I said, "Well, I can sit on the toilet and read a book at the same time." But that's about the strength of it.
Well,
yeah,
that qualifies you to be president, anyway. Yeah.
Tell me. What's this picture here?
Oh, that was taken on my 18th birthday.
Look at you young whippersnapper.
That was last week, of course. And that was my girlfriend at the time, Chris. And that was the first playable guitar that I had. Prior to that, I had a sort of white plywood thing that I'd dropped, and it was the seams had come undone, and it was very good for slicing cheese with. But that guitar I bought at the Ipswich Music Centre, and as you can see, it's a Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what chord I thought I was playing there, but
It didn't matter. Did
Chris might be able to tell me. Yeah.
And the thing is, look, you've still got all your hair as well.
Some
What
of
happened
it.
to me?
You don't need it.
It's true. Better to have had hair and lost than never to have had hair.
Yeah,
Dear.
most of mine's on the bedroom carpet. Yeah.
There's a question I like asking musicians. No, what is it?
I don't
no.
know why you're asking me then.
Yeah. Question, how are you at maths?
How am I?
At maths, mathematics. Yeah.
M-A-T-H-S, mathematics.
Yeah.
Reasonable. I did A-level maths for a while and gave it up. And then as part of my degree and my subsequent studies, I did quite a bit of statistics. I was an experimental psychology student.
So you're pretty good at maths. Yeah. No. I mean,
I wouldn't say that. No, I mean I got the O level, and my maths teacher did a double take. Yeah, you remember O levels?
yes, I do. Yeah. Never took any, but I remember them. I didn't. I left school at 15. The reason I ask, because it's not a theory of mine, but there's any musician that tends to be technical and very precise and very good tends to be good at maths as well.
Well, I also did A-level physics, and we did some sound experiments in physics that involved tuning a string. And I had to go round the class and tune everybody's string for them, because nobody
Is that a euphemism?
could tune. No.
Okay. I know what they're like in those Suffolk villages.
Well, quite. Yeah. My uncle, Jan's father, always used to tease me about coming from silly Suffolk, until I pointed out it wasn't silly Suffolk, it's actually zilly Suffolk. And zilly is a sort of early English word meaning holy, so that shut him up.
Oh, yeah, well done you. Right, I'm going to go through some other things here. This one's fine. Let's have a look on. Oh, look, here's one from the past as well. What about this one?
Yeah, that was Cambridge Folk Festival in 1977. I was about 206th on the bill, I think. No, I wasn't. We were just playing informally.
Yeah.
And what I do remember about that particular year was that I saw Planksty and Liam O'Flynn playing the pipes. So that was a major event for me. Yeah.
And you're playing the fiddle there.
Yeah.
Are you going to give us a fiddle tune tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I could play you a fiddle tune. Now the fiddle nerds might be interested in the. I'm I need to hold it in a way that you can see it. This is an unusual bow. If you notice, there's no way of tightening it, and it's like the sort of early music bows, in that it sort of bowed the other way if you look along the bow. And it's got synthetic material, which, given that I'm a vegetarian, is an improvement. But it's very light, and it allows you to play for, if you can play, it allows you to play for long periods, much less tiring to play with.
Very nice. What was that one called?
I think it might be the Plains of Boyle, but I confuse it. I've reached that stage where the connection between all the tunes that I play and their names has become randomised. Yeah.
It's understandable. You can't remember everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why when I gig now, I have to take words with me. When I used to gig, I have to take words because I can't remember them. Although the songs that I learnt, 50 years ago, I can reel off without any problems. But I think it's maybe just songs I don't play enough that I don't remember. So was the fiddle one of your first instruments then? Was it before guitar or after guitar?
No.
Because this is the chap I can see you there playing fiddle.
Yes, that's Tom Montgomery, and Tom was 50 years older than me, and I met him playing at a folk club, and I went to speak to him. I was 15 at the time, I think, and he had just retired from being the chief pilot on the River Orwell, which is the river that Ipswich is situated on, my hometown. And he'd gone back to playing the fiddle, and he was from a place called Island Magee in Northern Ireland, and his father had taught him and his brothers how to play the fiddle, sort of note by note. And I used to go and see Tom every Monday night, and he taught me to play in the way that his father taught him. So I was enormously privileged, and he was a lovely, lovely man. He got very little patience with most people, but he got endless patience with me. So thank you, Tom, for that.
That's lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. One of the cruel things is that he had Parkinson's disease, and as he got older, he became less and less able to play, and eventually he would come and sit with us in the pubs when we were playing, and he sort of joined in the music that way. But it was he was the grand old man of Irish music in our part of the world.
Fantastic.
And he started making he started teaching me when I was 21, so I'd been playing guitar for about 6 years at that point, and mandolin, as you can see. And mandolin is a very good bridging instrument between the guitar and the fiddle, because you've got frets and you use a plectrum, but the notes, the finger positions are the same for the fiddle and the mandolin. So to say that I play 3 instruments is a cheat, really, because there's only 2.5.
That's 2.5 more than I play. Oh no, melodeon.
Yeah.
Although I don't play the melodeon. Well, I never really did, I suppose. But But since
Great
arthritis,
sound, isn't it?
since arthritis,
Yeah.
arthritis decided to visit me, it's
Yeah,
very, very difficult to play now.
Not fun.
And who's this lot?
Oh, well, in my sort of late teens and early 20s, well, very early 20s, I played in the Suffolk Country Band, and two of us, the two at the back there is me and John Chandler, who migrated to Canada. We left over a dispute about money, the root of all evil, and we formed the Orwell String Band and invited two other friends to join us. The sort of rationale for that band was to play music from sort of folk musics from America and the British Isles in our own style and in a way that we enjoyed. We morphed into an Irish Ceilidh band as the band grew, and unfortunately I don't have any more photographs of the band, but that was the initial lineup taken fairly early, probably about 1972, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you can normally tell by the hairstyles and the moustaches and stuff,
Yeah.
can't you? So,
Yeah, and the lack of colour. Yeah.
It
And
was black and white
if
in
you
those
want,
days.
if you want to see the guitar in colour, I still have it.
Oh.
I sold it and bought it back.
What
And
is
it's
it?
a Harmony Sovereign.
Yeah.
Harmony Sovereign, yeah. And it was sometimes called the poor man's Gibson, I believe. Yeah. So that's one of the many guitars that my son's got his eye on. Yeah. I wouldn't say he covets my guitars, but I do have to have a food taster. Yeah.
Now, when did you actually start picking up on the Ilian pipes then?
Oh, the friend that you saw at the front of that photograph, Pete Croft, who, Pete's got the melodeon there. Pete's about 3 years older than me, and therefore very much more sophisticated. And he went to London. He lodged with us for a while, and Pete came back from London, one of his buying trips to De Belle's or Colette's, one of those wonderful record shops, with this LP called Henri de Bipri, The King of the Pipers by Leo Rosem. And he put it on. I think this would have been 71, 72. He put it on the record player, and I was just completely bewitched, and I've remained bewitched ever since. And then, nobody made pipes in those days. Well, not that I was aware of, anyway. There were a father and son who lived in Cork, the Kennedys, who apparently made pipes, and their waiting list was so long that if you wanted to stay on it, you sent them a Christmas card, and that reminded them that you were on their list. So the prospect of getting some pipes was about zero. And I can't remember how I got in touch with him, but I got in touch with Leo Rosem's son, Leon. And I think you have a photograph of Leon there somewhere that I sent you. And he agreed to, he made me a practice set of pipes. That's the Gardener's Arms. He's got some pipes.
No,
anyway, I went to collect my pipes, and I think that was either 75 or 76, and a wonderful player, but he was not a good pipe maker, unfortunately, like his father, so I failed to learn the pipes from him. And then there he is. That's Leon in the middle.
Have you got a dog?
And he, yeah, that's the dog downstairs.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, and his son Kevin, that you can see on the left of that photograph, is now in his 50s and a very famous piper himself.
Oh.
And that's the "I was with them" photograph. Yeah, as you can see.
Yeah.
You can admire the fashion.
I miss flares, don't you?
Yeah, you have to take your shoes off to get your trousers on now, don't you? Yeah.
What's Mark saying there? He's saying, get your act. What have I done wrong then, Mark? What's going on? Oh, Mark's in Northern Ireland, just in case you're...
Oh, right,
wondering.
okay.
I don't know what he means by get me act together. Oh, who's flying this ship anyway? Not me. I trust the nobody's made any comment. I trust the sound is coming across okay on Tinternet from everybody. So if it's not, can you let me know? Oh, Cherry Ison says hi.
That's my aunt. Hello, Cherry. How lovely to see that you're listening. Well, that's certainly surprised me. Yeah.
Oh, Mark was saying because finding the right pick, yeah, it wasn't on my list. I had to go somewhere else and find it. So it's this.
Yeah.
The sound is okay, is it? Thank you. No. Yes. Fine. Jan says fine. Cherry says
good.
hi, and Craig says sound is excellent. Good, excellent. So
good
that might be a good opportunity to have a listen to the pipes then.
Oh
Craig.
my God. Yeah. Okay.
We spent ages trying to get this sound right, didn't we, Clive? Initially, because this. Well, I don't.
We did.
Well, you see, I don't just throw this together. You know, this has been weeks, months of
carefully crafted. Yeah.
Careful planning to get this going. And
Yeah.
oh, hello! Is Linda just turned up? Hello, Linda. Have you brought a note? Thank
Well,
you.
this ought to drive people away.
Yeah, don't forget to sit right back. Well, I can turn you down. I do have that facility.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Nice to see you, Linda.
These are bellows blown pipes, and this is what's called a half set.
Have you got asthma?
So
Oh, no, sorry.
yeah, so it's got 3 drones, and a full set of pipes has got 3 more tubes, three more pipes that have got keys on them that you play with your wrist. I can just about manage to get a tune out of the pipe, so apologies for inflicting my enthusiasm on you.
That's lovely. That's really nice. Oh,
Well,
thanks.
thank you for that.
No, thank you.
There's a saying amongst Irish pipers that it takes 21 years to learn them. Sort of 7 years getting a tune out of them, 7 years practicing, and then at the end of another 7 years. Yeah, you're quite right about the plumbing, Paul. Anyway, I'm on my second go round, second iteration of that particular 21 years. Yeah.
Well, they sounded really nice.
The interesting thing is, an amusing thing is that my second the second set of pipes that I bought were made by a man who lived in the East End of London, whose name was Allen Ginsberg, but it wasn't
not the American poet.
Not the beat poet, no. Yes, I was very lucky to meet Alan, and yeah, he made me the first full set that I got, and I've still got them in the loft. Yeah, and one day I might be able to play them.
Sounded pretty good to me.
I do. No, that's not playing. Look on YouTube at some of the pipers that are around, and they'll just blow your socks off.
Yeah, no, certainly early Planksty albums I used to listen to, and
yeah,
they're just lovely music.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's this lot? No, that's not. Is that? I've got just having a look, see what else I've got here. There's a. There you go.
Oh, that's my mates from the Fiddle Club, Stony Fiddle Club, and as you can see, there's a strange instrument there.
Yeah, what are you playing?
Which
the
is not a fiddle.
Bazooka. What is it?
Yeah. That's an octave mandola.
Mandola.
And I was playing that just really to give a bit of colour, and I think that was a fundraiser for Stony in Bloom about 5 years ago at our wonderful York house.
Mm.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic resource.
It is. Yeah.
Liam O'Flynn.
Yeah,
he plays pipes, doesn't he, Mark? Does he?
Yes, Liam O'Flynn sadly died last year, and he was probably the great piper of the late 20th century, and I was lucky enough to see him at the Barbican with Seamus Heaney, and I've forgotten when that was, probably about 2000. But that was quite an extraordinary experience, especially when I found myself standing next to Seamus Heaney in the waiting room. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I digress.
Have you done any recordings, Clive?
No.
Oh,
No.
that surprises me.
We did. Actually, I suppose that's not strictly speaking true. The folk club that I used to go to at the Gardeners Arms in Ipswich, they had an idea to do a live album, and I would have been on that. But there was something wrong with the recording equipment, and it picked up all the taxis as they were going past. So somewhere in the vaults is a completely unlistenable recording of that evening.
So apart from that, nothing then. If you haven't, I'm surprised you haven't got an album out of some, or been on an album with other folks.
No, I did a day's recording with Michelle Wellborn, and that was a fascinating experience because, as you know from preparing for tonight, my knowledge and experience of microphones and recording equipment and all of that sort of thing is about zero. My experience of music is you pick up an instrument and play it. I played the same. I was sitting in one room. Michelle was in another room, and the recording engineer was in yet a third room. And I played the same thing about 25 times, I think. And of course, you get two effects in. One is a practice effect where you get better with practice, and then you get a fatigue effect where things really go off the boil because you completely lost interest in it, you know.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting we'd sit down, we'd play the thing, it would be recorded, and we'd move on to the next song. But we spent the whole morning failing to record one song.
Yeah.
So no, that's my experience of recording, to be honest.
That's fair enough. I'd love to hear another guitar song tune from you.
Okay. Well, I'll do something in a. This is another guitar made by Terry Doherty, and you can see it's a smaller guitar. This is based on a Martin 000 size or a concert size guitar, and it's you can't really see it, but again, it's it's very old Brazilian rosewood. So this. You know, I'm quite pleased with this guitar.
Yeah.
I would say that the strings that are on it at the moment are not the most sympathetic. So I do quite a lot of playing in open G. So this is in open G.
Lovely.
So that's the Leaving of Limerick,
It's nice.
which is
Somebody
a
actually
tune that
played
you
it.
might. It's a tune that's you might recognise, similar to the Leaving of Liverpool, but yeah.
Do you have a preference for Irish tunes over English tunes?
Yes, well, this gets me into trouble. Mostly, yes. But I also like American old time music. I like sort of traditional music. I like the sort of more the unsophisticated music, I suppose. I mean, I'm not so keen, for example, on bluegrass, which is a kind of modern evolution of old-time music. I just like the string band sound of sort of mandolin, banjo, and guitar and fiddle. Love that. And I played before I played with the Orwell String Band and in the East Suffolk Country Band. Three of us had a band called the Delta String Band, and that was the guitar. I played guitar, and my friend Lynn, who I hope will hear this at some point, played banjo, and Pete Croft, who was at the front of that picture that we saw, he played mandolin. So it was three voices and three instruments, and it was great fun. Yeah, that's Pete at the front
again.
there. Yeah. Yeah, so that but then of course there's a connection between old-time music and British and Irish music, and particularly Scottish and Irish music. And you may recall many years ago there was a program called lovely, hello Lynn, lovely to see you. Lynn is the most amazing banjo player. You ought to do a program about her. She is a musician. I'm just a wannabe. But yes, going back, there was a program about 25 years ago called "Bringing It All Back Home," which was about the relationship between Irish music and American music and the way that it had returned back to Ireland. So it was about the second Irish Renaissance, I suppose, in the 70s, particularly with bands like Planxty and the Body Band and so on. But yes, I find Irish music very satisfying, and I just love the wildness of the sound.
Yeah.
And then I hear particularly Ivor and Yvonne who play traditional English music, who live in Stoney, and then I realise I like English music as well, but I have a particular affection for the Irish stuff.
Yeah. Is there anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask Clive? If you have, just put them in the comments section, and he can't see the comments unless I put them up on there. But
write them on the back of a £10 note.
No, yes, and send them to your nearest Prime Minister. Spike Milligan once said. What was the first record you bought, Clive?
The first LP I bought was
was it an LP?
Donovan's.
Was it an album or was it a single first?
It was an album.
Okay.
Yeah. It was Donovan's Fairy Tale, which was his second LP.
Mm-hmm. What's been did and what's been hid was the first one, wasn't it?
Yes, I bought that later.
Yeah.
There's subsequently, only in recent years, there's an LP called or a CD called 1964, which Donovan sort of issued of material that he recorded before What's Been Hidden, What's Been Did and What's Been Hid. And Fairy Tale for me is the kind of end of listenable Donovan. It was once Mickey Most got hold of him, that destroyed him from my point of view.
I quite liked Gift from a Flower to a Garden, but that was
had it, of course.
Yeah, that was of the moment, though, wasn't it? It wasn't, you know.
But
my hair was as long as yours.
Yeah. The first most significant LP I bought was the in my second week's wages when I worked at the co-op dairy, was Blonde on Blonde, Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde, which for me is the most amazing album ever recorded. But
Great
people
album.
argue about that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, my first the first record I ever bought, first single I bought, was Little White Ball by Tommy Steele.
Yeah,
but
I can understand it.
But it wasn't by Tommy Steele, because I couldn't afford to buy the full price record. So I bought the ones you used to get in Woolworths called Embassy Records, and they were covers.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So it was Little White Ball. It wasn't Tommy Steele. I don't know who it was. Just some cover artist. And the first album I bought was with my own money was Hancock's Half Hour.
Mm-hmm.
So no music at all there.
When we used to come back from the pub, sort of being driven back from the pub with a skinful, we would go through Hancock's Half Hour or Monty Python or similar records, basically reciting the words which we all knew.
Yeah, I could used to amuse my parents, obviously, but I could do the whole of the two albums. The first side was A Sunday Afternoon at Home, and the second side was The Wild Man of the Woods, and and I still can remember most of it.
Yeah.
I was just fascinated by Hancock in those days. when I listen to it now,
Yeah.
it's all right, but it's not the same. I don't know, because sometimes if you listen, if you listen Radio 4 Extra, they have the old comedy programs on there.
Mm.
Oh, Mark's got a Hancock half hour. Which one have you got, Mark? And Paul, hang on. Paul has asked, which instrument gives you most pleasure to play, Clive?
Oh my goodness. Probably the fiddle, because I prefer to play with other people, and I, as Paul knows, I love playing in sessions, and it's been a real killer this last year not being able to play with anybody else. I'm not a comfortable performer. I've had people sort of express doubt that I was in the bands that I was in simply because I sat at the back. So I love playing the fiddle because it's a kind of social activity, and I'd have to say that I enjoy the guitar almost as much, but that's to my audience of one at 11 o'clock at night when we're winding down at the end of the day. Yeah, that's my relaxation instrument. But if you ask me which instrument I prefer to listen to, then it would be the uilleann pipes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Paul didn't ask that, but I anticipated that he might lead on with a subsidiary question.
But you never sung. You just, that's not something that you're comfortable with. Or
I've got a very limited range, and it's something that I do in the privacy of my home, because I'm essentially a kind of pro-social person who doesn't like to inflict pain on others. I suppose the 3.5 notes that I can sing are reasonable. But,
I'm going to ask you a question. When I'm playing, and I want to know if this is just me. If I'm singing and playing in public, my mind goes somewhere completely different. I'm thinking I'm playing the guitar, I'm singing a song, I'm reading some words probably in front of me, and but my mind is elsewhere, and I have to bring myself back into things. Is that a common thing for musicians?
Well, two answers. I mean, one is from my academic sort of life, which is that my discipline was psychology, particularly cognitive psychology. And the thing is that when you perform any highly overlearned activity, something that's very, very familiar, that's something that's become automatic, you stop monitoring what you're doing. And if you're driving, for example, you won't remember that you've actually already been across a particular roundabout. You've obviously safely traversed the roundabout, but have got no conscious recollection of it. And I think something similar happens with playing. And from my own playing, I know that if I don't concentrate, then with jigs and reels and hornpipes and so on, they follow a set pattern. So there's usually 2 A parts followed by 2 B parts, and occasionally 2 C parts, and then you kind of rotate through. And my fellow fiddle players will know that I can't reliably count 2. I sometimes lose the plot. Yeah. And then there's the problem of forgetting which tune I'm playing, and when you're playing fast and there are kind of common sequences, you can go from the tune you thought you intended to play to a completely different one that's similar. So yes, I do understand that experience.
Oh, Jan says you can sing, Clive.
Well, we've known each other a very long time, and she's very kind. Yeah.
I was just wondering with the because it just seems crazy that you're concentrating on so many things at the same time, and I mean the fact that most people who watch you, most people who don't play an instrument or perform in any way, um, are generally in amazement of somebody who can, and
Yes, I think I think that's double-edged. I think with some instruments it's not apparent how difficult it is. And with the Irish pipes, for example, when I first got my first set, I remember it was the height of summer, and I was sitting in my living room on a hard chair. And to play the pipes, you have to pump with your right arm. You're pumping the bellows. You have to maintain a steady pressure on the bag under your left elbow, and then you have to waggle your fingers in tunefully. Anyway, I was attempting to do this, and I couldn't figure out why I was feeling dizzy, and it was simply because I couldn't breathe at the same time. Yeah.
Goodness
Yeah.
me. Any other questions there, folks? Jan saying unconscious
Yeah.
competence. Yes.
Yes, she's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Or in,
It's a
in my
skill.
case, conscious incompetence.
Absolute nonsense. I've the advantage over you in that I've seen you performing, so I know how good you are. So none of that. Yeah.
I admire your honesty. Thank you.
I think occasionally you come across musicians who are very complacent and perhaps arrogant about their playing, and I'm awfully glad that I'm not one. I'd rather be as I am, a sort of aware of all the mistakes that I make, rather than think that I'd cracked it, to be honest.
And you're always learning on that basis as well. It's because I
Yes,
don't
of
think
course.
there's one single performance that you've done, or I've done rather, that I could say, yeah, I'm really happy with that. Didn't make a single mistake. There's always at the end of whatever I do, whether it's a solo stuff or it's in a band, I always think, wow, I copped that bit up there, or I lost out on that bit. Yeah, so.
But I think that's healthy, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's healthy in other people, not in me.
Are you going to play the mandolin? Jan says.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. We've got a couple of minutes left. Thanks everybody for popping in. It's really, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd like to get some more. This is the first of hopefully on a fairly regular basis. As I say, next week I've got Aaron Short from New York, who's going to talk completely different. It's his music is completely different. It's not traditional music, not folk music. But he comes from Suffolk as well, strangely enough.
Oh, good heavens!
Yes.
Right. I must look in.
Yeah. Yeah, please do, because it'll be different. He's a very, very amenable chap, and he's very knowledgeable about what he talks about guitar tech, pickups and that sort of thing, and foot pedals and all sorts of things, anything guitar. That's one of the things he does. He also does a live show on a Sunday from New York, and like many of us who don't get out to play, he does a live show, which goes down very well. So hopefully he'll be here for next Thursday. But in the meantime, what are you going to play?
Well, this little instrument was made in 1951, 3 months before I was born, and it's a little Martin mandolin.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you, Clive. That's
Now
lovely.
I know that we're coming to the end, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you one more instrument.
Oh, please.
Because it's right.
We don't
rather
have to
special.
finish, but you know, it's. I think an hour's about right. But
Yeah.
yes, I'd love to see this.
Well, this is a guitar that belonged to a friend, and it was. She showed it to me at a party and said, "What do you think of that?" And the lighting was very low, and I thought, "Oh yeah, it's just an old Spanish guitar." And then I started looking at it closely, and it's not a Spanish guitar; it's an English guitar, and it was made by two brothers, D and A Rudloff, who were from Mirecourt in France, but they moved to London in the 1830s. And because this guitar is numbered, I know that it was made in about 1840, and it's special because it has X-frame bracing.
Oh,
And it was invented at about the time that C.F. Martin was
doing the same
inventing.
thing.
Yeah. So whether they discovered it together or separately, who knows? But it's an interesting little instrument.
Can we hear it? Beautiful. What a sound. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lovely guitar, and quite delicate. And when I first saw it, it got a hole through the table, the front of the guitar, but it was repaired, and yes, I'm rather fond of it. Yeah.
Beautiful guitar. Well, Clive, this has been fun, hasn't it? How's it been for you?
Yes, well, I've been a very, very long way outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, I know. And not a lot of people would know that. 'Cause,
No.
but the thing is, look, it's tough for me too, you know.
Yes, and you've done a super job. Thank you. Yeah.
No, it's been a real pleasure, and people have. I'm sure people they've told me they've enjoyed it. So we'll do it again next week, as they say. And all I can say is, everybody, a round of applause, please, for Clive Barrett.
And well done to you, Brad, too.
No,
and
no.
I wish you all the best for this venture. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
think.
you know,
Go on.
we'll be moving on to musicians next time. Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear. You will be able to see this through Facebook, I guess. I noticed that everybody on here is on Facebook. There's none have come from YouTube, because it's supposed to be going to YouTube at the same time, and
right.
but I'll have to check up on that, see if it's everyone. I'll just put in their comments up before we go, so you can see them, Clive, and see how much people have appreciated it. There you see.
Thank you, Chris.
There you go.
Paul. See you, babe.
I'm still here.
I'm talking to my cousin.
Okay.
Do excuse me. Yes, I probably ought to explain.
It's a bit familiar. We've not even met.
Yes, I was going to say it's a little forward.
Anyway, here comes the ending. Here comes the credits. Look, there they go.